Hello and welcome back. So today I'm here with a different one. And I wanted to, just spotlight a very lovely lady. I'm sure a lot of you know her, but some of you may not. And she is so interesting to me. On this channel, I've been covering the Sussexes ever since Meghan and Harry first started their royal tour in Africa. And as an African myself, and a Kenyan to be more specific, I was so interested in how that tour would go. And from then on, I started covering the Sussexes. And, it's been quite a journey with them. And I've been thinking a lot about royalty in the UK and what Meghan specifically has gone through. It was just so amazing to me to find this character called Emma Weymouth. And she too is mixed race and is in the aristocracy in the UK. And she's such an interesting character. So I want to put some of you on to her. And those of you who know her, of course, she has such a fascinating life. And over these days, I've just been consuming so much content concerning her and getting to know about her. And I think she's someone who is interesting. So let's talk about her. So who is she? Emma Claire Thynne, Marchioness of Bath, was born on May the 26th, 1986. She's often known as Emma Weymouth, and she is married to Ceolin Thynne, the 8th Marquess of Bath. In 2020, she became the first mixed-race Marchioness in British history, or as some say, the first Black British Marchioness. She has quite a life. So just let's get into her backstory. She was born, as I said before, on May the 26th in London, the daughter of a Nigerian father and an English mother. Her father, called Chief Oladipo Jadesimi, is a Nigerian oil billionaire who is the executive chairman of Lagos Deep Offshore Logistics Company and is a title holder in the Nigerian chieftain system. Fascinating. And her mother, Susanna McQuiston, is an English socialite. She has several half-siblings, including Amy Jadesimi. So Emma was raised in South Kensington. She was the head girl at Queensgate School during her secondary education and later attended University College London to study art history. After university, she studied classical acting at the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art. So that's another interesting parallel there with Meghan, that she too has that background in the arts. So that's quite fascinating as well. So let's fast forward a bit in this story. Emma and Ceolin announced their engagement in November 2012. After a year of dating, they were married at Longleat, the family seat in Wiltshire, on 8th June 2013. Upon her marriage, Emma became Viscountess Weymouth. The wedding took place in front of 355 guests, the largest ceremony held at the estate. And her wedding dress, designed by Angelina Colarusso, featured a fitted bodice, square neckline, and sheer lace sleeves embroidered with a pattern of traditional Bath flower. She wore a diamond tiara with a ribbon scroll and bow designs estimated to be 60 to 70 carats. And it's also quite fascinating that the Marquess and Marchioness of Bath at that time, who of course were the parents of her husband Ceolin, were not present at the wedding. The groom's father was engaged in a family dispute about Longleat's artwork at the time, and his mother was prohibited from attending after making racist remarks regarding their marriage. So we'll get into all of that. So there was a story on Emma. Fascinating story done by Bazaar. They did such a great cover on her, and I will read some excerpts that stood out to me. So they say this: as Britain's first mixed-race Marchioness, Emma is the daughter of an English socialite and a Nigerian oil and gas magnate. As I said before, they go on to say she has unsurprisingly been besieged with interview requests, particularly from American media, keen on her take on the Sussexes, but she has never met them, she says. And she says, quote, "and I don't want to comment on their unique circumstances," end quote. The difference is she was born into the aristocratic milieu. She has known Ceolin since she was 4 years old and was a bridesmaid at the wedding of her half-brother Ian to Ceolin's aunt, Lady Sylvie. quote, "We saw each other about once every 10 years at random family events," end quote. So by the way, if you can hear a bird chirping in the background, we're just going to say that is ambient sound. We're going to go on with this recording. So the article goes on to say, romance first bloomed between the pair in 2011 when they bumped into each other at Soho House. The following night, they went on their first date. Quote, "It was fresh but familiar," end quote. She said that with a contented smile. A year later, Seolin proposed. Did she ever ask herself if she could cope with the role of Longleat's chatelaine? She answered, "You don't think about that all at once. At first, it's about being in love and then having children and everything comes with it," end quote. She went on to say, quote, "Now it's been 10 years. When I look back, it's more amazing. But when you're in it, you're just doing it. You want to enjoy the moment and you want to live in it and get on with things." That's not to say it was all plain sailing. Emma says, quote, "My race was never an issue in my life until C and I got engaged. After that, no one could stop talking about it. I pray for the day when it becomes less remarkable because race does not define you," end quote. Her father gave her away at the star-studded 2013 wedding dressed in spectacular ceremonial attire. And you can see the images that I'm posting here. I've got to just interject here and say the Nigerians in her family showed up and showed out. They were dressed to the nines in their traditional clothes, looking amazing and so proud of who they were and standing tall and so colorful. Amazing. And the article goes on to say that, but Seolin's Hungarian-born mother was not in attendance, having been banned by her son for her racist remarks. So as I was watching some videos on this beautiful couple a couple of days ago, they were talking about that alleged racist comment and the fact that he had actually said that his mother would not attend that wedding. Isn't that an interesting parallel with Meghan also not having some family members at a huge event, such as her own wedding? So I found that quite a strange parallel as well. But in this case, of course, it was Seolin's mother who had allegedly made a remark concerning Emma, and he drew the line and she was not to attend. His dad at that time also did not go to the wedding, and it was nothing to do with race. Apparently, he had an issue with some artwork at the estate, and there were some modifications made in the house that he was not pleased about, and he chose not to go to the wedding. Either way, I wanted to add that in here. So Emma goes on to say, quote, "I'm very proud of my Nigerian heritage, and we celebrate it so much. As you saw from my wedding photos with my father and all his guests in their beautiful robes," end quote. She went on to say, quote, "It has been an interesting experience to be part of this conversation of positive change and wonderful to hear people's reactions. But I feel like the real change will be for the next generation, for John and Henry, for whom it isn't an issue at all," end quote. So John and Henry, by the way, are her sons. The couple's first child, John Alexander Laddie Thin, Viscount Weymouth, was born in October 2014. And her second child is called Lord Henry Richard Isaac Thin, who was born in December 2016. So we will also get into that as well. So the article goes on to say this. During her pregnancy with John, now 8, she suffered from hypophysis, a rare condition that left her with a bleed on her brain. Emma said, quote, "It was on the first day of the 3rd trimester," end quote. She went on to say that she stood up and the headache just swooshed in. She spent weeks in agony, but her blood pressure was normal. And she went on to say, quote, "I was trying to navigate through it with massages and therapies and strong pain medication that didn't make any difference," end quote. Then she went on to say that they finally gave her an MRI and saw it. It became very serious very quickly, and she ended up having an early cesarean. For years, she was unable to speak about that experience without weeping. And Emma said this, quote, "It never affected my relationship with John because I understood at the time that the baby in my tummy was a separate being. He wasn't ill, but I was," end quote. So as I said, he was born in London by emergency cesarean section. And you can see there the images of them emerging from the hospital. By the way, all this, he was born at the Lindo Wing. We all know that famous wing. So as we know, this is the hospital where Princess Diana had William and Harry, as well as Kate had all of her 3 children as well. That is George, Charlotte, and Louis. As a result of her health struggles during her previous pregnancy, their second child, Henry, was born via surrogate, and he was born in Los Angeles. And the article goes on to say, on cue, John and Henry rush in, the former dark-haired and the latter blonde, waving their swords and escorted by their father, who has been giving them their morning bath. So she goes on to say they have a plan to go off on a pirate ship together. They're writing lists of all the supplies they need, and they really make each other laugh, end quote. Their mother said fondly. So John seems slightly quieter and more serious than his little brother, and Emma is conscious of the need to prepare him for his extraordinary and demanding inheritance. And John, her firstborn, of course, will be the future Marquess of Bath, who will one day inherit the Longleat estate with its 900 acres of landscaped parkland and safari park. So little John's future is already mapped out. Emma and Seolin hope that their son will end up running the Longleat estate, just as his father. So, they have that whole history there. And these are a few cute pictures that she shared with Hello Magazine. So adorable. Oh my god, that baby is so cute. So as I mentioned before, Seolin notoriously cut ties with his mother at the time, Anna Thin, who was then the Marchioness of Bath. So that was quite an interesting parallel, and it was quite sad that on what should have been a beautiful day for this couple, it was soured by the fact that the parents of the groom were not there, with Seolin's mother being less than happy with his choice of a bride, and she allegedly asked the heir if he was sure about ruining, quote, 400 years of bloodline, end quote, by marrying Emma. And of course, because of that feud concerning the artwork at the estate, Seolin's parents chose instead to go to another wedding. Oh my gosh. They claimed that they had accepted a prior invitation to an engagement elsewhere. But of course, when one thinks about the context of it being the wedding of their son, that is paper thin as far as excuses go. Coupled with the fact that Seolin had actually barred his mother from attending the wedding after those alleged comments about Emma. And Emma, when she was asked how she felt about her children growing up without contact with their grandmother, said, quote, "I think John has got so much love from everyone who is around him that we're providing a fantastic environment for him," end quote. That's what she told Hello Magazine. So she said that he is loved and looked after. He has a wonderful, loving family. He has enough, end quote. So, those are some interesting parallels here. Whatever you think about how they handled all their situations, I'm just laying out their lives and that interesting backstory there. Some interesting parallels, and I did try and look through and find out if the then Marchioness of Bath had reconciled at all with her son, Seolin and Emma, and I did not find any stories on any type of reconciliation before she passed away. So, that's that story as it goes, and it's quite fascinating, as I said, that whole estrangement and fallout over Emma. And here is an image of them on their wedding day. Doesn't it just have some strange overtones of Harry and Meghan and people wondering where a certain side of the family is? It's just so curious, isn't it? So in that image, it's kind of sad. You can see Seolin, they're surrounded by Emma's family. There is her dad on their right and Emma's mom standing to the left of Seolin. And, one wonders, where are his parents in that picture? So what an interesting parallel, right? So I wanted also to delve into the magnificent and glamorous life that Emma has. She is surrounded by absolute luxury, I've got to say. And as I said, by no means did she come from humble beginnings. The daughter of a Nigerian oil trader, yeah. So she was often seen out and about in high-profile events, and the Thin family were already friends of Emma's from childhood. So there, by no means was she, a rags to riches tale. She attended prestigious schools. She was, as I said, already in aristocratic circles and no stranger to wealth, but as we all know, with the societal structures in the UK, with them having the class system, for her, she was now able to join the highest tier of that class system when she married into the aristocracy in 2013 when she wed Seolin Thin, the then Viscount Weymouth. But of course, now she is styled Marchioness, as her husband got the title Marquess after the passing of his father, and she became Britain's first black Marchioness, which, by the way, is just one step below a duchess. She also holds the title Viscountess Weymouth. And Emma said this, that, quote, "I already knew him," she was talking of her husband and the family, "but I never dreamed this would happen." She was talking of her getting married to him. She said, quote, "I think I wouldn't even let myself hope before that this would happen because it's just so surreal. Still, it is quite surreal now," end quote. So she not only married an aristocrat, she is also married into a business. Yes. Longleat house, where Emma lives with her husband and her 2 children, is absolutely stunning. And it has, listen to this, a safari park and a couple of restaurants, and was the first stately home in England to open to the public in order to pay its taxes. The estate is also a venue for conferences and weddings. And while living at Longleat, Emma represents the estate and has also become a part of its history. She explained this in an article published about her in 2013, saying, quote, "I'm having my portrait painted, for example, so that will be put up at Longleat and hopefully stay here for a long time," end quote. She went on to say, quote, "You become part of a long line that goes back and will hopefully continue. That's what you want. You just want the house to survive, and you do everything you can to maintain it, look after it, and support it, to sort of protect it," end quote. Even with her fortunate upbringing, she still feels lucky to be living at Longleat. And my goodness, I've seen some images and videos of the house. She is staying in what would just be short of a castle by all the looks of it. I mean, it looks like a castle, but of course it is an impressive countryside property. It features 130 rooms, as well as I said, its own safari park. But she and Seolin live in one section of the home. And she said this, quote, "Not in my wildest dreams did I imagine I would be living in a safari park. It's a bit Disney. I feel so lucky and happy to be where I am. I need to pinch myself," end quote. By the way, she is quite a busy woman. She just doesn't wake up and live a life of complete luxury. She is also an ambassador for Tusk and loves getting stuck in to help out with the 500 animals on her 9,000 acres of land. She also, by the way, took part in 2019 in Strictly Come Dancing. She was eliminated in week 7. Her partner was Aljaž Gorjanek. I think that's how it's pronounced. And she also in 2017 became brand ambassador for Fiorucci. She also modeled for Dolce & Gabbana, walking in runway shows at Harrods. So she's also quite busy. In February 2018, she began working as a fashion editor at British Vogue. She's also a contributing editor at Huffington Post. And that was a documentary that was filmed at her estate. She was featured alongside her husband in All Change at Longleat, a 3-part documentary filmed in 2014 and broadcast on BBC One. And she also is a phenomenal cook. She talks about how her mom taught her to cook growing up. And she has these amazing videos here on YouTube where she shows favorite recipes. She is accomplished in the kitchen as well. So she says this, quote, "You can never take it for granted. You can never not be appreciative of being so fortunate," end quote. So she has taken advantage of all of these opportunities offered to her. She puts in 110% at the estate of Longleat and the safari park. And she also founded the food and lifestyle brand Emma's Kitchen. So yes, I love the fact that she wants to be productive. I also heard her say that in that documentary, that she wants to not just sit back and not do anything. She wants to put her best foot forward and represent the family well, because she knows now she is in a long line of, that whole heritage that has come to her as Marchioness and Viscountess. She wants to contribute and be productive on behalf of the estate. And by the way, I watched her and I acknowledge that she is so savvy and warm and sweet and personable. And one thing that stood out to me is the authentic love that her and her husband have. He did point out in an article elsewhere that I read, and I'll just paraphrase. He talks about how him being the Marquis and, being in this 400 line, as you heard me mention there is a huge responsibility, especially on the firstborn and especially on the sons in that family, to carry on that, I want to say, dynasty as well, just to keep the wealth and the privilege that they have going. There might have been pressure on his father, who, by the way, was quite unconventional in his lifestyle. He was not the kind of settle down and have one woman kind of man, I'll just put it like that. He was being asked about the marriage between his father and his mother, and with the lives that they led, which was, as I said, quite unconventional. They had other people in their lives. Speaking at the time of his father's passing in April 2020, Seulin had his own take on whether his parents embarked on a marriage of convenience to provide Longleat with a male heir. He said this, quote, "It's not that cut and dried. They just led such very different lives. It was a love match at the beginning. She fell for Dad first, and Longleat was an added bonus. She found being the lady of Longleat fun for 7 months and then realized it was not that great." End quote. For many years, she remained responsible for conserving Longleat's treasures and returned every 3 weeks or so for up to 10 years, meaning she was always away. He went on talking about how his dad and his mother had a strange relationship, or I'll call it an arrangement, and how she went on to acting and, she did her own gigs. But it was quite interesting, as he pointed out, that it wasn't that cut and dry for him. And I find that response so interesting because he talks about it being a love match at the beginning. And, he doesn't elaborate on that on and on. They do point out that Seulin and his brother were raised by a nanny and would receive sporadic visits from their mother. And it's not like that when you look at him and his wife. Seulin and Emma truly love each other. That's what I can say from what I've seen. And they are quite a traditional couple. I mean, comparing him and, the lives that his mother and father had when they were then Marquis and Marchioness, it's absolutely different. Talk about night and day. So yes, as I said before, they truly do love each other. They do. And she's just a perfect fit for that estate. She brings her whole self to that, and so proud of her, by the way, how she carries herself. So when I consider Emma, who is literally dripping in wealth, it always makes me wonder why so many people had begrudged Harry and Meghan, who, according to that whole societal structure of class and their ranking in that structure, why would they begrudge Harry and Meghan to live in a place that is sprawling, that is opulent? It always made me wonder. So some interesting parallels, as well as in this case, something that we can juxtapose and ask. People don't seem to mind Emma at Longleat. And I'm going to add this here, nor should they. Where Emma is just having an amazing life, a grade 1 listed house, as I said, set in 1,000 acres of parkland that has 4,000 acres of let farmland and 4,000 acres of woodland, and that stately home that is open to the public, that has a safari park, the first one, in fact, outside of Africa. And according to some sites, it states that it is one of the finest examples of Elizabethan architecture in Britain. And the house itself has staterooms and drawing rooms, and which has libraries upon libraries, with one with Venetian painting on the ceiling. In fact, it has been recorded as having one of the largest private book collections in Europe, with a total of over 40,000 books recorded in possession. Basically, the list goes on and on and on. You can go there on private tours. It has been the location for film productions as well. The list goes on, and I'll just cap it off by saying, according to property by rent.co.uk, as they list some of the biggest houses in the UK, starting off with Buckingham Palace, Longleat is number 7 on that list as a stately home, and according to them, in quotes, is one of the largest private houses in the United Kingdom. So there she is, and to that I say, go girl. But it's amazing to me to see how some people were begrudging Harry and Meghan and them having a place that was comfortable and good, and always listing how much their Montecito mansion is worth. And here is a house that is listed over 130 million pounds in worth. And and not a peep. And of course, not that I would want anyone to criticize Emma. She's doing an amazing job, as I said, managing the estate with her husband. It was quite interesting to see that negative energy for anything that Meghan spent. And yet, all the while, people in nobility in England are living and spending like literal kings. So why were they begrudging Harry and Meghan anything? It makes you wonder. So interesting parallels and juxtapositions there to think about. I want to know your thoughts on that. So she talked about marrying into the aristocracy. And this was an interview that was by Evoke IE. And this is interesting. She said this: before meeting her husband, Emma confessed that she hadn't experienced any racism growing up. Wow, isn't that fascinating? And think back to Meghan, for example. She talked about how her being racially ambiguous shielded her from overt racism. She often would hear it directed at other people when she was there, but because people could not gauge what she was, she said that she was like a fly on the wall. And here is Emma saying she had never had an experience with it. She told Vanity Fair this, quote, "From my perspective and with hindsight, I can see that it was incredibly naive. I absolutely believed that in the UK we lived in a post-racial society," end quote. She went on to say, quote, "I was made more aware of myself," in quotes, "from the outside in when I got engaged. I don't want to not acknowledge the significance, but it has meant a lot to a lot of people," end quote. She went on to say, quote, "It was a moment in history that people got a lot of hope and encouragement from, but I didn't do anything on purpose. I just have to appreciate that I've been written to personally and seen it written about, and it has been taken very seriously," end quote. She also went on to say that she confessed her race was never an issue until she got engaged to Seolin. She said this, quote, "There has been some snobbishness, particularly among the much older generation. There is class, and then there's the racial thing. It's a jungle and I'm going through it," end quote. But in 2019, Emma added that she wouldn't want to compare herself with Meghan, although they're both navigating uncharted waters. Emma is making sure that she is making a mark on the British monarchy, and like Meghan, she won't go quietly. Some of her high-profile appearances, as I've said, have included her 2019 Strictly Come Dancing, modeling for Dolce & Gabbana, and her own cooking brand, Emma's Kitchen. So it's quite interesting, as I said, she lives such a fairy tale life despite the challenges that she has gone through. And I wanted just to put some of you onto her. And for those of you who are interested, I would like to be covering more of, what she's into with her conservation work with Tusk and anything else interesting that she might get into. And I hope you will be here as well as I cover that. For my Nigerians out there, my gosh, Nigerians, oh, you have decided that you are going to infiltrate, I say that tongue-in-cheek of course, the British monarchy. Meghan claimed she has Nigerian ancestry as well. She did her 23andMe and she found out that she has Nigerian in her. And here is this lovely first Black Marchioness in British history who was right there even before Meghan, who is Nigerian and proud. So Nigerians, thumbs up. Y'all are doing it and killing that whole aristocratic game. So yeah, I'm so proud of her. She has done an amazing job managing the Longleat estate and Safari Park as the chatelaine. And she has just done so much with her own brand, doing so many cover stories and encouraging people out there. And in this instance, people of color, that yes, own the spaces that they're in, to be excellent, to go above and beyond. She is just so impressive. As I said, I would like to amplify her on this channel as well. She has her whole presence out there. I'm not saying that she is unknown, no, but I would like to boost her as well here on this channel. And I think she is so fantastic. Amazing. I want to see more from her. And I would have loved if Meghan and her were friends as well. I think that would be amazing. She said she had never met the Sussexes. She's close pals with fashionistas, with Naomi Campbell, Lady Kitty Spencer. She, as I said, contributing editor for Vogue. She goes to Cannes. She goes to the Burberry Spring Summer Catwalk Show after party. She went to that one this year. She is where it's at. She's even friends with Kate Moss. So she's someone who is in those high circles as well. So as I said, she's not an unknown, just putting those of you who do not know her onto her. And I would like to just continue to amplify her good work here. So yes, my gosh, when I look at the life she lives, she is surrounded by grandeur, excellence, and always makes me laugh to consider that Harry and Meghan, when they first got married and they were at Not Caught, that Oprah went there and was like, you wouldn't believe it. And when I compare that to the sprawling estate that Emma lives on and manages, with 130 rooms and a safari park with restaurants where they are landlords, where they, it's just goes on and on and on. A house so big that tourists have to come through looking at all of the history in it. And by the way, the property where they stay, Longleat, is a grade 1 listed property as well. So she's surrounded by history and, she takes it all in. And as much as the property has its own curator, she also takes time to know about everything that's around her. She is just a woman of class and grace, and I think she's quite interesting. So I'm looking forward to covering much more from her. So thank you all for watching. Share your thoughts on this in the comment section below on those interesting parallels with her story and the story of Meghan. And I would like to ask one thing. As I was looking into this couple and watching them in the documentary, I did realize that Seolin and Emma finally found a way to reconcile with his dad. They found some kind of common ground. And I wanted to ask, do you think that Meghan, for example, as we saw the downward spiraling of her relationship with her dad until it completely disintegrated, do you think one day there might be some type of reconciliation where Meghan's dad is concerned? Share that in the comment section below. So thank you all for watching. Once again, share your thoughts. And I would like to leave you the quote from Emma. She talked of getting married into the aristocracy, and she said this: "It's a positive thing. I think it has been received well to show that hopefully race doesn't need to determine who you are, what your life looks like, or where you need to be. Of course, it should be irrelevant," end quote. So now, as always, a special thank you to those who support this channel financially. Your giving means so much to me, and I want to shout out a couple of you by name. A special thank you to you, Ruth C., who is one of the supporters of this channel. Truly, I do love you. I want to say thank you so very much, and I value and appreciate you. So generous and kind. God bless. Thank you, Ruth. Thank you to Daniel Medical as well. Thank you for going above and beyond in your giving to this channel, for being such an encouragement. I want to say thank you. May God bless you abundantly. And thank you to Segan Ajos as well. I appreciate you for your generosity time and time again. Thank you for choosing to be such a tremendous blessing and boost to my work here. Accept my deepest thanks. I love you. Once again, thank you to all who support this channel financially. Truly, your support, as I said, means so, so much to me. Thank you. Thank you to those who like, comment, and share. If you liked this one, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, click subscribe. It truly does help out the channel. Have a great day wherever you are. Leave your comments below. And if you want to watch more videos, click the links in the cards and in the end screens, and I will see you there. Thank you all for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Have a blessed one.